For the last 2.5 years, all he's tried to do is get rid of my business, just bring it down, and bankrupt us in legal fees. I've never met this person before.
Are you ready to be on the other side of the camera? Of the questions?
Not really, but we're going to try our best.
Are you nervous?
I don't know if I'm nervous, more just out of my element a little bit.
So what do you tell your clients when they're going up on the stand or they're doing a deposition? What do you tell them?
Tell the truth.
Okay, tell the truth. All right, so please introduce yourselves.
I am Adam Schachter. I'm a lawyer here in Miami, and I have the pleasure of being your lawyer, Luba.
Okay.
I'm Andrew Figueroa. I'm a lawyer also in Miami, and I do too have the pleasure of serving as your lawyer, Luba.
Thank you. And tell me about the firm.
So our firm has been in business a little over 10 years now. I guess we're what you would call a boutique law firm. You know, we're 8 or 9 lawyers looking to grow right now. And we do 2 types of cases pretty much. We do complex business litigation, which is the type of case we did for you, Luba. And we do white collar criminal defense, which thankfully is not a case we did for you, Luba.
Thank God. Okay, so guys, why did you choose to become lawyers?
I mean, this might sound cliche, but I did it to help people with going through tragic events or life-changing events, to help them.
Yeah.
And then with businesses, I know it's hard to achieve success, and sometimes litigation may come their way, and to help businesses achieve success was ultimately why I became a lawyer, to help people and to help businesses.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I mean, look, we have the privilege of dealing with real people like you and real businesses, and often when they're in distress or conflict, and we help solve problems. And the beauty of our firm is we can solve problems in the courtroom, we can solve problems outside the courtroom, we can solve problems, you know, just about anywhere. And that's really one of the best parts about being a lawyer.
Right. With our case specifically, we never met each other. We didn't actually meet each other until everything was over. So how do you select your clients, and what was it like working through the pandemic?
I guess I'll answer the first one, the second part first. You know, most of our clients are referred to us by other lawyers. You know, I'd say 99% of our cases come from other lawyers who have worked with us, either with us or against us, and just word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we have a website and we do some, you know, modest marketing, but it's mostly just word of mouth. You know, we find the best way to market ourselves is just to be good lawyers, and the cases come to us that way. On the second part, you know, especially, you're right. You know, we represented you for, you know, a long time without ever having met you in person. You know, we do Zooms, and it was, you know, we got used to it, obviously,
Right.
working with you over Zoom, but it made it. I remember when we first did meet you in person, it made it, you know, all the more special.
Yeah,
you know,
and real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Andrew, what do you think?
I mean, this was the first case I worked on when I started at this law firm. And so the first thing I knew about Lubas was a piece of paper. And I tried to get beyond that this is not who Lubas represents, or how Lubas should be represented on paper that was in front of me. And when I got to the chance to meet you, I was compassionate about the case, and it made me want to achieve a great result even more. And it was a pleasure to work with you remotely, and it was a pleasure to meet you in person on both occasions.
Well, thank you.
If I had to represent Luba in 3 words, I would say energetic, kind, and enthusiastic.
It's a tribute to you, Luba. You know, our firm, we love all our clients, but, you know, some of our clients are, you know, big companies or, you know, nameless businesses, and, you know, representing you was you were always a real person to us, and it was, you know, Drew and I would talk about that. We're always careful about who we take. We're a small firm, and, you know, one of the one of the sayings we use in the firm is, or we've heard from others, is, your success is not always determined by the cases you do take, but by the cases you don't take. So we've tried to live that. And so, when we have new clients come in the door, or especially people we've never met, especially when they're from other countries, we try and do a good amount of diligence. We try and underwrite it and make sure it's the right case for us. Because again, we don't take on a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. So sure, we were nervous, and needless to say, you were the subject matter of your case was something I'd never come across before.
Ooh, okay. So let's get into that. Let's dive into that. When did you actually know? Because I never used the words anal bleach with you guys ever. Like when we had our first call, it was, I have a skincare company and I'm being sued and I need representation. I never said anal bleach. So when did you know it was about anal bleach?
So I have a distinct memory, because you did not mention anal bleach, and I have a distinct memory of reading the complaint, and then I think I must have gone on your website or a website, and then it occurred to me, and I think I, giggled like a 8th grader for, a couple of hours or maybe a couple of weeks, but look, at the end of the day, this was a lawsuit. It was a real lawsuit. It was a lawsuit over a lot of money. It was in the federal court. So, once we agreed to represent you, we'd giggle every time it came up, and it made for good cocktail party chatter. But it was a real case, and it was especially real to you. And that's what motivated us. Yeah.
Drew, is this your first anal bleach case you've ever worked on?
It is my first anal bleach case, and now every time, if ever one comes up, which I hope not, I'm just going to say it, anal bleach.
Would you put it down on your resume as a specialty in law now?
I may say sensitive cosmetic areas, but...
sensitive subject matter?
It's a topic. I might have to analyze the situation.
We're very proud of it now, and it's, I think being the anal bleach lawyer is... I'm okay with it.
What was the drama of the Bryght case?
Representing you, you were a real person who was going through real stuff through this case. And so, again, to know how important this case was to you and to live it with you was drama for us. And we, every ruling, every filing, every turn of this case was dramatic for us, and that's a tribute to you.
Yeah. Thank you. I would echo that. And when we were preparing for trial, we did a few Zoom interviews, and you just told the story. And I thought that was not drama that you were telling the story, but just that you were a real person, that this really affected you as a person, affected the business. Mm-hmm. And that really hit home. I mean, after those Zoom calls, I was like, there has to be a way out or a positive outcome to this, and we're happy to represent you.
If I had to say something about Luba that I think people would be surprised to know, is that she is, her knowledge of the law and how lawsuits work and how litigation works in our court system is incredible. She got it quicker than most lawyers get it.
So I was diagnosed with cancer through this trial. Were you surprised at any point that I didn't want to push anything off due to treatment?
I'll never forget when you showed up for your deposition pretty early on in the case, and it was apparent to me that you should have been doing a lot of other things other than sitting in that deposition that day, and it was something to watch. And again, it was to do it over Zoom. The case became real to me at that moment. It was something.
You were a fighter. Your energy is always contagious, and it was always a pleasure. And we wouldn't expect you to stop. Just keep pushing forward, and just moving on. I think everyone may know this, but I was surprised to learn that Luba was such a fighter. I mean, fighter. With her cancer battle, fighter with her business, and just a fighter all around. And her energy was always contagious. And I'm pretty sure that's not a surprise to anyone. I bet everyone who meets Luba is grateful to know her and thankful to know her.
Was there a turning point in this case?
We believe there was, and we believe it was at Calendar Call. Now, Calendar Call is to organize the trial. It's pretty administrative. You just discuss your witnesses, but ours was a little different because we had a huge evidentiary hearing that would impact the trial. And we argued before the court, we presented our arguments, and we walked out confident that we achieved a great result. And luckily, the judge sided with us on this evidentiary matters that led to a turning point with the trial. In fact, the court actually postponed the trial for us to negotiate with the opposing side and conduct another mediation. All this was due to that evidentiary ruling, and that impacted the case moving forward.
We treat litigation like a chess match. We think one of our strengths is that we have the ability in this office to sit down and game things out and strategize and think through what are going to be the consequences of each filing, each argument. And yours is a case where that strategizing really paid off. So.
Well, I have to say that you guys were really nice. Like really nice. I will never forget being on the phone with you guys. With this case, it was like, I think it was maybe a year in or something. And Adam, I can't remember what you were saying to me specifically, but you're like, this is what we need to do and this is how we should do it. And everything was always done with kindness and respect to the other party as well. And I remember saying, I'm bored, this is boring, when do we get to be assholes? Do you remember that?
I do. And look, again, Luba, one of the benefits is, for lawyers like Drew and I, is, we've been the lawyers for the judge before. Mm-hmm. And remember, every single case, there are people pissed off, there are people who think they've been wronged, people who want to be assholes. And, we want to be too sometimes, and we want to, take the emotional stand. But sometimes it goes, the strategy is to sometimes hold back a little or put the focus on the argument, not the emotion.
And that was so pivotal because your last piece of advice when we were on that final Zoom call, I did not want to take. I did not want to take it. And I was just so tired and done and wanted everything to be finished. But I took a deep breath. I was like, you know what? I'm paying these guys a lot of money. They know what they're doing. I'm just going to go with it. And if I wouldn't have taken that advice, things would have went very differently. Possibly went really, really differently.
Well, I mean, look, one of the benefits of having a lawyer in cases like this is you get to have someone else give you advice and help you make decisions where again, this was incredibly personal for us because we'd grown to such a great relationship with you, but we're lawyers and we can sometimes take a step back and see the legal arguments better than our clients can.
So moral of the story is, listen to your lawyers, you pay them for a reason. Sometimes it's not the best just to be mad at an asshole, like I wanted to be that day.
The best advice I would give to someone is don't sue Luba.
And I agree, she has great lawyers.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, Adam, obviously it was a very serious case. It went into federal court. Let's talk a little bit about if someone receives, with small businesses, right? Because that's who our main audience is that are watching these episodes that we're doing. What if someone was to receive a cease and desist? What is a cease and desist and what do they do?
Sure. So a cease and desist is normally just a letter that lawyers will send out to another company that they're asking them not to do something and perhaps threatening a lawsuit. And, like with everything, you need lawyers to deal with that. And so, my recommendation to you and to everyone else is if you get one, you should hire a lawyer. Now, that doesn't mean your lawyer should immediately start going to court or charging the client a bunch of fees, because sometimes the best answer is to do nothing. I just had a potential client the other day who's facing a situation and wanted to hire a lawyer. My advice to that client was, you should do nothing right now, because to pay a lawyer money isn't going to help you get to where you need to be with this dispute. So, look, every case is different, but lawyers can be a valuable asset in situations like that. Drew, if you...
I agree. I mean, something that goes unnoticed to small business owners is that when a lawsuit comes, that oftentimes in American legal society, that you have to pay your attorneys.
Right.
That it's not the other party.
Right.
Or I just learned that in Canada there is no contingency fee aspect, and when you're paying your attorney's fees, you need to have a swift resolution, and sometimes maybe that might be responding to a cease and desist, or might not be responding to a cease and desist. It all depends on a case-by-case basis. So I echo what Adam said about the situation.
And what is a cease and desist?
A cease and desist is, in a plaintiff's case, when you are suing somebody, you often send a demand letter saying, I'm demanding this amount of money. And the opposite to that may be a cease and desist. We're saying, stop what you're doing. You may be infringing on the law, or maybe violating law in some way, or violating a contract. So it's a little bit like a demand letter, but it serves a different purpose. You're not demanding money, you're demanding someone to stop their actions.
Someone came to my booth the other day, and she was quite upset that there's some issues with employees, and she was going to start a lawsuit. I suggested, not as a lawyer, I don't think it's a good idea because it's going to cost you a lot of money. So what would you say to people that come to you saying, I want to sue someone? What is the best advice that you give them?
You know, filing a lawsuit is a huge and momentous decision. And, you know, I've had a lot of clients over the years who are angry in the moment, and sometimes they want to sue just on principle. And I've many times, and I think it's the right decision, you know, you should not sue on principle, and you should not sue someone lightly, because, you know, lawsuits in this country can take a year, 2 years, 5 years. And so, you know, I think the most important thing to do, whether it's a small dispute over money or a huge dispute over the existence of your business, is try and figure out pretty early what an acceptable end goal is for you, and then figure out the most efficient way to get to that goal. Because sometimes a lawsuit isn't the answer. Sometimes it's unavoidable, and sometimes it's the right answer, but oftentimes it isn't.
So do you feel that usually lawsuits are mostly emotionally driven, thinking they're going to get a quick result?
A lot of them are. A lot of them are.
And that's usually not the case.
Yeah, I mean, look, no, especially in our business, the type of cases we're involved in, where, you know, they're unique and they're usually the stakes are pretty high. You know, it's hard to generalize that, you know, there's a one definite path each case takes. I mean, your case took a really unusual path. It took a long time, but, you know, we've been in cases that go on for, you know, 5 years, go to multiple courts and multiple jurisdictions. And the other thing about lawsuits that, you know, people don't realize is, you know, a client can hire a lawyer and come up with the best strategy in the world and make all the right decisions, but there is another side in that lawsuit. They're going to have their lawyer. Then there's the judge. So there's a lot of other factors and influences that can have a big impact on what your life is going to be when you're living with that lawsuit for the next year.
Wow. Now there's some binders on the table. What are these binders?
This is part of your case, Luba.
Part of my case?
A very, very small part of your case. I mean, your case, if we printed it all out, every document would probably be 10 times what you're seeing here.
It's a lot of paperwork.
It is, and when we were preparing for trial, on the eve of trial, we had, I would say, double, triple this. I mean, the amount of documents that we reviewed to help achieve your result this is only a small sample. And this is what a lawsuit brings, is paperwork, a lot of moving parts, and often leads to an expensive path.
Can you talk about the judge that was assigned to my case? Who was it? And
so the judge assigned to your case was a federal judge here in Florida named Eileen Cannon, who's a recently appointed judge. Notably, during the pendency of your case, a well-known case down here in Florida involving Donald Trump, was also before her. So it was interesting for us to be, you know, litigating your case before Judge Cannon at the same time that she was in the national news almost every day, dealing with issues relating to the phone.
so she had Trump's case and anal bleach on her docket.
Yes, she did.
Wow.
Maybe a first.
Wow. Okay. I wonder which one was more important. I'll leave that up to her. What happens if you're being sued and you cannot afford your legal fees?
Well, it depends on your relationship with your lawyer. Part of hiring a lawyer is figuring out the fee arrangement, and that can be a touchy subject because, as you did in your case, which is what every client or most smart clients say, is what's this going to cost me? What's the budget? And it's a tough question to answer. We're an expensive law firm. We charge per hour, and we charge a lot of money per hour. And unfortunately, what I have to tell clients a lot of times is, I don't know how much this is going to cost you, because, like I said earlier, the course that your case takes will oftentimes depend on factors that are completely out of our control.
Right.
It will depend on the judge. It will depend on your opponent. It will depend on your opponent's lawyer. And so lawsuits can be incredibly expensive.
Have they bankrupted businesses?
Of course.
Is that sometimes the goal of someone looking to pursue a lawsuit, to wipe someone out?
Well, it would be a stupid goal.
Right.
If you're a plaintiff in a lawsuit and you're suing over money, you want to be able to collect money at the end of the day. So, to drive your opponent into bankruptcy is not going to achieve that end. But, I can't speak for the motivations of what brings a lot of people to file suits, but, it is a sad reality of how cases play out here.
And then if someone sues a party and they're successful, how easy is it to recover funds?
It truly depends on what the basis for the lawsuit is. If there's a negligence case where the traditional slip and fall case, the plaintiff, in the case of person suing, often recovers an amount at the end, and then the lawyer would get that amount. But the defense on that side will have to pay hourly because there's really no basis for the attorney's fees. But if you have a contract that has, it's what's called in lawyer terms, a fee shifting provision, which says if I win, I pay, you pay my fees, or if you win, I pay your fees, and that's a way to recoup some of your attorney's fees in a lawsuit. And also, if you sue under a statute, whether it's a Florida statute or a federal statute, you can also have an attorney fee provision to the prevailing party, which is who won that lawsuit. Now that may be difficult because you may win on a couple of claims, 4 or 6 or 5 of 6, and then it depends on whether or not you can recoup for all of defending the lawsuit. And that often results after trial. So you're paying for the entirety of the pendency of the lawsuit for maybe that one chance to win at trial and try to recover your fees. So it's a tough decision on both sides. It's whether or not to settle so I can achieve that, or whether or not I offer to settle to limit my exposure or my attorney's fees at the end.
Okay, how long have you guys been practicing law?
So I graduated law school in the year 2000.
Okay.
So it's easy to keep track of. I've been a lawyer for 22 years.
Andrew?
And I've been a lawyer for 5 years. I graduated in law school 2017. I worked for the judiciary for about 4 years, and this is my first law firm position as an attorney. So it's been overall a great experience for this past 5 years.
One thing about our firm, Luba, you may know this, you may not know this, but when we started this firm, we made it a policy that we only hire lawyers who have worked for federal judges. As a position called a law clerk, which is you're basically the judge's personal lawyer. So I was a law clerk for a federal judge. When I graduated law school, Drew was a law clerk, and we've just found that skill set makes us, just puts us at a tremendous advantage when we represent clients like you in federal court.
Yeah, amazing. What is something about being a lawyer that you think most people would be surprised to learn?
I think that most people would be surprised to learn how little time we spend in court, especially in the cases we handle, which are, high stakes cases, complex cases. The lion's share of the work happens outside of the courtroom. There are some lawyers that spend a lot of time in court, but, our cases, we go to court somewhat frequently, but not as much as I think people would expect.
What percentage do you think actually goes to trial?
Oh, it's less than 1%. I mean, the incentive, there's so much at risk to go to trial. Again, especially in the cases we handle where there's millions and millions of dollars at stake. And, and again, our cases are complicated, and many jurors, who are hearing about these complicated cases for the first time, it's just a risk that most litigants aren't willing to take. Now, in your case, we were ready. We were ready to go to trial. Unfortunately, we got some legal rulings that allowed the case to not have to go to trial. But it's a rare thing to go to trial in this day and age.
Were you surprised that my case was going to make it to trial?
I was surprised. I thought you had good defenses, and we were ready to win on those defenses before trial, but we were also ready to prove those defenses at trial. I mean, the percentage is low, and we were hoping that for cost concerns and for you as a client that the case did not go to trial, because that's something that is uncontrollable. You're in the hands of a jury. Although we can control the narrative and we can control the story, we can't control the outcome. And that was a little nerve-wracking as an attorney, because we thought you had great defenses.
Are you happy with the outcome?
Oh my God, we're thrilled on so many levels, Luba. First, we're thrilled for you that to get the result we got just could not have been better for you, and for us as lawyers. This was a result that came about as a direct result of the legal work that Drew and I did, mostly Drew, and it was just so gratifying on those multiple levels.
Justice was served.
Favorite part of the case, without question, was the celebration in Vegas with Luba after the case was over. That was a long time coming, and that was a night I'll never forget. Getting to meet Luba in person after 2+ years of litigation and just celebrate a good victory.
Excellent. Okay. What makes working with a client enjoyable?
We love working with our clients because, again, our cases are, with rare exception, they're incredibly interesting, and one of the great joys of the practice we have here is we get to, we're plunged into, interesting and unique business disputes and situations. Again, a week before I met you, would I have ever thought in a million years I'd be involved in an anal bleach trade secret dispute spanning Canada to Las Vegas to Miami? Not in a million years, but that's the beauty of this job. We hear about it, we learn about it, and then we get to fight for our clients in it.
And what makes working with a client frustrating?
I wouldn't say it's frustrating. There's really no frustration working for a client.
Our clients never frustrate us, Drew.
Yes, that's exactly the point. It's tough because of the situation that a lawsuit puts an individual in. I mean, it's costs, it's exposure, it's defending yourself from allegations. And we understand that this may frustrate the client, which may lead to client calls. But I think the most important thing about a relationship between an attorney and a client is trust. It's just trust what we do, trust your story. We trusted your story. We trusted our strategy moving forward. And I think that was what worked so well for our relationship with you.
And communication too, right?
Communication.
Like, do you ever have a situation where like a client just ghosts you? Like you're asking for information, looking for dates, looking for information, and crickets?
Sure.
Yeah.
We've had it. Look, a lot of our clients, when we're dealing with them, it's the worst moment of their lives. We have clients in criminal cases that are facing long prison sentences. We have clients in civil cases that are facing losing every dollar that they've earned over the time of their life. So, when they're communicating with us, sometimes it's not pleasant communications.
Right.
They want to be out of the situation.
Right.
They don't want to have to take the call from the lawyer or answer the email from the lawyer.
Right.
So it can be tough, and we try and be mindful of that.
Okay. Now I understand you won several awards, so let's talk about that.
You're going to make us blush.
Yeah, I want to hear it all.
No, look, our firm, has been, again, we consider ourselves a boutique firm, and we try and only hire the best lawyers, and as we tell everyone when they come to join this firm, we have to be perfect. Even in the world of law firms, it's a competitive landscape out there, and we're up against firms of 100, 200, 2,000 lawyers. And the only way we can continue to get good results and get good clients is to be perfect. And we're grateful that we've been recognized, in multiple, for our accomplishments. There's ranking services all over the world that rank lawyers, and we're consistently recognized as, the top of our game. And so it's a privilege and an honor. It's a little embarrassing, but we'll take it.
He's being modest, just saying. For the record, very modest. Have you ever been the client of a lawyer? AKA, have you ever been sued?
Thankfully, I have not been sued.
Okay.
So that's one thing I hope doesn't happen.
But you would know what to do.
I would hire this guy. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, look, we've had, trying to think. I think my wife was once in a hit and run accident. We had to sue the driver, so it was interesting. I'd really like to be on a jury, though.
And then they find out that they found out you're a lawyer, and they were like, "Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
Pause. We're done."
No, you get no respect. It's once you're in a lawsuit, it doesn't matter what you are. People fight to the death sometimes, especially in personal injury cases.
And you said you'd like to be on a jury. Is that what you said?
Sure, I'd love it. I've never been selected. Have you ever been on a jury?
I've been selected to participate in the jury process, but not on the panel.
Lawyers don't often get to be on juries, but that's a part of the process that we don't get. We don't get to be on that side of it. We're the lawyer side talking to the jurors, right. But to be part of that deliberation process would be great. I'd love to get a look at it, but hasn't happened yet.
Who scored higher on the bar?
Drew is like the bar exam master. He grades bar exams.
Talk about that. I want to hear about that.
I was selected for the Florida bar examiners to grade bar exams based on my score, and it was a tremendous accomplishment. It's great to get back to the bar exam and grade bars for students who look to achieve certification to become a lawyer. So it's a tremendous achievement, and I'm happy to participate and volunteer my time.
We literally have the best. The best of the best. Okay. Which is your favorite superhero and why?
Isn't everyone's answer Superman? Isn't he?
I would go with Batman because he's the villain oftentimes,
okay.
And no one knows what he does, or everyone knows what he does, but he's still a villain. Okay. And I just like that, just the behind the scenes, doing what's best, and hopefully one day you'll get recognized, but not achieving recognition on your own.
That's all great, but no way Batman can beat Superman at anything. So I'm going with Superman.
All right. One last question that I have for you. Are you ready to change your ringtone?
Drew?
Do we do it right here, or it's not right here, right? All right.
You're the best client in the world. Questions like that are why you're the best client in the world.
And the answer is no.
I learned about Bryght as a company that it has a lot of different products, not just simply anal bleaching, which I was surprised to learn. I do have products now. I guess I am a customer.
I wanted to do this interview with my lawyers, not only to share my story, but to open up the eyes of all small business owners on how vulnerable you are to a lawsuit. Some business owners that I consult that are solopreneurs don't even have insurance because they don't think that they need it or they didn't know that they had to get it. It can be as simple as someone slipping and falling in your business to something on a larger scale like I dealt with. We are all exposed to this and we need to educate ourselves on how to protect ourselves, or what do we do if this happens, or what does a cease and desist actually mean and what are the next steps. I hope you took value out of this video to help you make a better decision in whatever you choose to do. If you're thinking about pursuing a lawsuit, remember that it's going to be just as expensive and just as long as if you were being sued.
Let's go, Luba! And just remember, dance like no one is watching, but text and email like it'll be read in court one day.